Welcome back to Mac Talks of Football, and what an exciting weekend of football we had, and we are gonna have a great week with the Champions League looming in. But in this video, we are gonna go ahead and look back and review the predictions that I made for Bundesliga match day 7. I think most of them turned out to be quite right, and it was quite an exciting weekend of football in Bundesliga. Most of them were expected. There was no, a surprise or shock results this weekend. So let's go ahead and review the predictions that I make, and we'll see how many points I'm able to accumulate. 3 points if all my predictions are correct, and 2 points if the prediction is correct but the score is not right. The first game, it was a Borussia Dortmund versus a St. Pauli. I went for a 2-1 win for Borussia Dortmund. It ended up as a 2-1 win for Borussia Dortmund. I thought that it was gonna be a close game. Borussia Dortmund, they have not really played to their level. They are still finding their form under Nuri Sahin in the league, and there have been a couple of results where they should have won the games, but they have dropped points. St. Pauli, on the other side, they are a promoted team, but the way that they are playing, I think the games that they play are always tough. They really give it their all, and it has not been an easy game for any team who has played against them. So I thought it was going to be a very close game. It ended up not being that close, even though the scoreline is a 2-1. But I think Borussia were far better as compared to St. Pauli in that game. They created a lot of chances. They had a majority of the possession, and they dictated the play quite calmly, and they just did not score enough. That's the only the problem in that game for Borussia Dortmund. With the way that the game was going, they should have easily won it, a 3 or 4-0, but they were not really able to convert their chances, and that is why I think that is the only drawback from them. But in the end, they got the 3 points. That is important for them, and they continue to to close the gap at the top of the table. It is very tight between the top 7, top 8 team. It's like 5 points differentiate between the first and 7th position in the Bundesliga. So they know all these games are very important. St. Pauli, on the other hand, they would be really disappointed that they did not get anything out of that game, especially after getting that equalizer. Eric Smith, I mean, what a goal that was. It has to be Bundesliga goal of the season till now. What a strike that was. And goals like this, they deserve to get something out of the game. At least a point they should have done, but unfortunately for them, they were not really able to hold on to that, and Guerresi in the end goes ahead and scores. It is a great form for Guerresi. Also continues almost like 7 goals in his last 6 games, so he has been a very consistent as well. So yeah, in the end, a great win for Borussia Dortmund. 3 points for them and 3 points for me. Good way to start the weekend in Bundesliga. The next game was Hoffenheim versus Bochum. I went for a 3-2 win. It ended up being a 3-1 win, so I just get the 2 points. I thought it was gonna be a very close game with the way that both these teams are playing. Hoffenheim, even though they have a really good squad, they were when the weekend started, they were 16th. Their performances in the Bundesliga have not been that good. They are struggling. In the Europa League, they have been really good, but the Bundesliga performances have not been up to their standard, if I may say so, because I really thought that they were going to be in those top 10 places, top half finish. That's what I expected from them. So to see them right at the bottom in the 16th position, I thought it was going to be a tough game. Bochum, on the other hand, they are they are winless. It is not really working out for them. There have been games where they have played a good football, but they have just not been able to get the results, and this was another one of the game. It was quite an entertaining game, quite a fun game. Both teams really went at it, trying to outscore each other, trying to get that win. And unfortunately for Bochum, they were not really able to do. Hoffenheim just had enough in them. They got an early lead, a good amount of. Then Bochum came back, and Bochum had a chance to put a pressure on Hoffenheim with that late penalty. If they had gotten that penalty, it would have been a 3-2 game. I would have gotten 3 points, but they missed that penalty, and that basically was it. If they scored that penalty, I think it puts pressure on Hoffenheim, and maybe we could have had a different result. But that missed penalty cost them the game, and Bochum are still winless after 8 games in the Bundesliga, and it's not looking really good for them. Hoffenheim, great win. They move upward to the table, and they would be really happy about it. Moving on to the next game, it was a Freiburg versus Augsburg. I went for a 3-1 win for Freiburg, and it was a 3-1 win for Freiburg. So another 3 points for me. It is looking like a really good weekend for me. I just thought that Freiburg have been really good this season. The way that they have started the season, they are on a red hot form, and just before the international break, and I just expected that to continue. And Augsburg, on the other hand, like they are not really doing that good. I remember in my prediction, I predicted Augsburg to finish, I think, 7th and Freiburg to finish at 8th. So I thought Augsburg were gonna have a better season than Freiburg, but they are really struggling. They are in the bottom half of the table. They're very close to those relegation places, and their bad run continued. The game, it was, the first 20 to 25 minutes, they were quite cagey. I just thought that it was because of those international break, the players were a bit rusty, but as soon as the both the teams started to get into the game, Freiburg just showed their class, and the way that they have played this season, their form has been really good, and it showed there. They scored 3 goals in the space of 11 minutes, and 2 of them being spectacular goals, and that basically ended the game. I mean, just before the halftime, you've scored 3 goals, and your opposition is on 0. That basically was a game done and dusted there. Second half, they really, I think that was very smart play, or the way of playing. They really did not let the emotions get better of them. They just held the ball, they controlled the game. They made sure that Augsburg are the one chasing them, and they just had their fun. Augsburg did get a goal back, but apart from that, they never really challenged. There was, I think, one more chance for Augsburg, where they came very close, and the keeper had to make a good save. Apart from that, they never really challenged Freiburg that much, and I think that just shows how good Freiburg have been, and they richly deserve those 3 points, and they have now moved on to the third of Bundesliga. It has been a really good start for them, and now being in their Champions League places. I don't think they expected themselves to be here, after 8 games because of the other teams, but they would hope now that they have gotten into those Champions League places, they can stay there and try to assert themselves and don't get out of those Champions League places, because there are so many teams fighting to get in those Champions League places. Augsburg, on the other hand, they have now dropped down to 15, a point difference from those relegation places, and it is not looking really good for them. They need to do something quickly. They need to get a couple of good results to get away from those relegation places, and not get dragged into that relegation battle, and they would hope that they can start doing so from the next week. The next game was the big one, Bayer Leverkusen versus Frankfurt. I went for a 2-2 draw, and it ended up being a 2-1 win for Leverkusen. So this is the first game in the of the weekend where I don't get any points. But the game was as the game went as I expected it to be. It was filled with a lot of excitement. It was there were goals in the game. Like it had total drama. It had total chaos. 2 penalties, one for each side. One doesn't get converted. The other one gets converted, goalkeeping errors, epic goals. It was everything. Like, it was such a good game of football, true representation of a Bundesliga. I said before while I was making the prediction, I said this was going to be one of the games of the weekend in Europe, and it truly lived up to its potential, and it ended up being, I think that the reason Leverkusen were able to edge it and get that win was the way that they played that second half. I think Xavi Alonso outsmart his opposite and number with the way that they because Frankfurt, they like those high flying games when both the teams are really going at it, and they have those moments to counter attack, and they love to counter attack. The game is basically based on them. They do counter attacks after counter attacks, and in the first half it was like that, and they created a good amount of chances. In the second half, Xavi Alonso, they already knew they were on the lead, so they slowed the game down. They made sure that they had possession. They basically took their biggest strengths, Frankfurt's biggest strengths, Umar Mamouche and Akiteki. They took them out of the game. They really did not have that much ball. They couldn't release them. They completely slowed down the game, and basically Frankfurt became a toothless after that. And I think that was a very smart play by Xavi Alonso to neutralize Frankfurt's biggest threat. And even then, I think Frankfurt really did really well. There were goalkeeper errors. Leverkusen's second goal was a mistake by Frankfurt's keeper, and then right at the end, Leverkusen's keeper himself, like they had throws the ball away, collides with his defender, and Ekitike had a great chance to level that game and get those get 2-2, but unfortunately was not able to convert. I just think it was his height. Let's be very honest with it. If it had been a couple of inches taller, he would have headed the ball quite easily, but unfortunately for them, he was not, and the defender is able to come and get the ball away, and the game ends at 2-1. And I think it was a fair result because the way the Leverkusen played in that second half, that was a very really good and really smart way, and that just shows how how much Xabi Alonso has progressed as a manager as compared to others with his injury. I think it was a very good performance and important win for Leverkusen. They now move up to 4. They are just 3 points away from the top 2 teams from Bayern and RB Leipzig. So they know it was very important. And Frankfurt, they were third before the game. They have now dropped to 6, but they themselves know that it's not a really big deal because the difference is just 4 points. So a good results, a couple of good results, and they may be at the top of the table in a couple of weeks. So it is very close right at the moment. So it was a huge win for Leverkusen, and they would be really happy about it. The next game was Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Heidenheim. I went for a 1-all draw, and it ended up being a 3-2 win for Gladbach. So this is another game where I don't get any points. The thing was, within my prediction was both these teams have not really they have become sort of inconsistent. Heidenheim, they really started the season very well, but after that there have been a string of losses for them, and I thought they are playing against a Gladbach side who are performing well. Their performances are there, but they are not really able to get the results, and I thought it was going to be another one of those games where both of them will just cancel each other out, but I was wrong, but in a way that they did not cancel each other out completely. They both really went for it. I expected that both these teams like to play attacking football, both teams like to score the goals, and the game was like that. It was a really fun game. Both teams are really going at it, creating chances and converting. Both of them had 20 plus chances. So if you really want to go ahead and watch a game of football from the weekend, if you don't have and if you really want to watch a game, that is, I would say go ahead and watch this game because it was a really fun game to watch. And I mean, Kleindis, I think he had one of his best performances in a Gladbach shirt, and the thing is, it had to happen against his former club. He scored a brace against his best man. I know that is like a football heritage right there, scoring a brace against your best man. It was a really great performance for him, and he gets an important 3 points for them, and Gladbach really needed that because as I said before, their performances have been really good. They were just not able to get the points that they deserved, either draws or wins. They were not able to get either of them, so they would be really happy that they finally have gotten 3 important points. Heidenheim, they are now there is a really struggle for them now. 4 defeats in their last 5 games, and they are slowly dropping down the table a lot. They were first at the top a couple of at the end of September. They were top of the table, and now the drop has been really bad for them, and they would hope they can somehow stop it, but at the moment it is looking really bad. The next game was Mainz versus RB Leipzig. I went for a 3-1 win for Leipzig. It ended up as a 2-0 win for them, so I get 2 points. I just thought that Leipzig have been in a great form. They are still undefeated in the Bundesliga, and I thought they were gonna win the game quite easily. They were playing against the Mainz side, who have been the definition of inconsistency this season, and they have been everywhere, and I just thought that they were not gonna be able to hold off Leipzig, and that's sort of what happened. The game, it was almost went as I expected it to be. Mainz, they had a lot of possession, but they really did not do anything with that. I mean, they were so useless with those possession. Just 2 shots on goal with almost 68% of the possession. So it doesn't really matter if you have that much possession if you are not gonna do anything with it. Leipzig, on the other hand, they played it smart. They played it very calm. They got their chances whenever they had it, and they converted them a couple of goals. And the thing is, even in the if Šeško had his shooting boots on, they could have easily won that game 4-0, 5-0. He wasted a lot of chances. You don't usually say that about Martin Šeško, but this season he has not really been up to the level that he was last season. This game really showed that he is, lacking in confidence at the moment. He just needs a goal to, get his confidence back. Easy chances, I would say. In last season he would have finished those chances with his eyes closed, but when a player goes down in confidence, that happens. But as I said, easy win for Leipzig, still undefeated and still on the top cocktails of Bayern Munich. Mainz on the other hand, third defeat of the season. They have dropped down now to 12th, and the drop is starting, for the last 3-4 weeks they are going towards a downward trajectory, and they would hope that they can stop it, that they don't get dragged into that relegation battle, because again the point, it is very early on and the points between every single team is not that much. I think it's just a 5-point difference between them and the 16th place team, so they know how crucial that is, and they would hope from next week they can at least they can get a win and they can get back into that top 10 and away from the relegation battle. The next game was a Bayern Munich versus Stuttgart. I went for a 2-1 Bayern Munich win. I thought it was going to be a close game because Stuttgart, they usually turn up for these big games, but boy was I wrong. Bayern Munich completely decimated them. It was a 4-0 win for Bayern Munich. I still get the 2 points, but the game wise, I mean, they never let Stuttgart breathe for 1 second. They were on them from the get-go. They created about 22 chances to Stuttgart's 4. That just shows how dominating they were, and even though it took them 57 minutes to take the lead, but they never let Stuttgart have a sigh of relief in that game. It was complete demolition by Bayern Munich of Stuttgart, and in the end they win a 4-0, a hat-trick for Harry Kane, and a very good performance for them. Huge 3 points. They get back on the top of the table, and with that big game in the Champions League tomorrow night against Barcelona, they would be really happy that they go in that game with a big win, big confidence, and they are at the top of the table. Stuttgart on the other hand, as I said, I expected them to show a little bit of fight. They usually turn up for these big games. They came up against Dortmund and they defeated them 5-1, but today it was not a good day. This weekend, sorry, it was not a good day for them. Completely got dominated by Bayern Munich, and they really had no answer to them. And now they have dropped down to 10th with that defeat, and it is now they really need to buckle up and try to get a wins and try to get back into those top 6 places. It's still early on. I keep on saying it is match day 8, but you never know with the amount of how close the points are. A couple of bad results and you are in a problematic situation, but they would hope that they can get out of it as quickly as possible. The next game was Holstein-Kiel versus Union Berlin. I went for a 1-0 win, and I almost got that prediction completely correct because they scored in that 89th minute. It ended up a 2-0 win, so just 2 points for me. But in all seriousness, the game was as I expected to be. Like, it was a very tough game. It was a very close game. On the outside, you would say that Holstein-Kiel are on 17th and they are winless, and you would expect Union Berlin to go ahead and get that win. But we know that these teams in that relegation spots, they are very hard to play against. And Holstein-Kiel, I think they are a bit unfortunate. That there is one basic problem for them, and that is that they are not able to convert those their chances, and that was the same problem that they had this game as well. That is the reason that they are still in that relegation zone. I think if they had a good striker, somebody who could finish the chances that they are creating, I don't think they are playing that back, and I don't think they would be in those in that relegation place, and they would remain winless as well. But they cannot do anything about that until January at least, because they are not really able to convert those chances. And Union Berlin, they did it. It is as simple as that. Like every weekend when I do the review, I say the same thing about Kyle, that they need to convert those chances. They are creating it. They defend very well. They went down early 1-0, but after that they defended really good, and they tried to get back into the game, and they created good chances. It was very tight by both the teams. It was like high flying game, but it was a very good game of football, very close game. A chess, it was sort of like a chess game between those two managers, and in the end, Union Berlin with that late goal in the 89th minute, they killed it. And Kyle, again, they would drew the chances that they missed, and they remain winless after 8 games. It is now starting to become a problem for them. They somehow need to do something to get those goals and get the points. Union Berlin, they move up to 5th. They are closing the gap on those teams above them, and they are getting back into the mix. I thought it was not going to happen this season. I thought it was going to be a transitional season, but they have proven me wrong till now, and they would hope that they can continue to prove me wrong and get back into those get back into the Champions League. And the final game of this weekend was Wolfsburg versus Werder Bremen. I went for a 2-all draw in this game, but it ended up being a 4-2 win for Werder Bremen. It was a wild game, to be very honest with you. I expected that I expected goals in this game, but I just did not expect this many goals. I thought it was going to be an end-to-end stuff because both these teams like to play attacking football. They both like to move forward and create those goals, and both of them are not really good at defense as well, and it showed in this game as well when both the teams were going forward. I would say Werder Bremen were a bit lucky in two of their goals, but I'm not really gonna take one goalkeeping error and one and a sort of deflection. And the thing is, I'm not really gonna take away anything from Bremen, because until you don't create those chances, you don't put the opponents in pressure, they don't make a mistake, so you cannot take anything from that. They were really on it. They played really good. Wolfsburg themselves, it was a good game of football. I'm not gonna take anything from away. They also tried. They both of them had like 15 plus chances, so that just shows you how much of a interesting and fun game that was. In the end, Bremen they get the win. It is a very good win for them. They move up to 8th in the table. Wolfsburg now they have dropped to 13th. So one win in their last 5 games, and now it is starting to look dire for Wolfsburg, and they need to do something out of it, and they need to get those points. And as I keep on saying, a couple of bad results and you are right in that mix up in that relegation area, and they've now, as I said, they dropped down to 13, so they need to do something very quickly. And with that, my review of my predictions for Bundesliga match day 8th are finished. I think I made 14 points out of 27, so that is like a 50% good result. On top of that, I got 6 results completely 6 results correct out of the 9 possible 9, so that is a good outcome this weekend. I am very happy, if I'm being very honest with you. Good predictions were made, and good results came out of it. So yeah, that is it for me in this video. Let me know what you guys thought of my predictions, and do you agree with the review I did? Let me know in the comments section below, and let me know how many of your predictions came true as well. I like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 400 subscribers before the month of October ends, so please go ahead and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.